The giant crash of 1929. When you are compared the first three crashes of the 21st century in the giant crashes of 1929, you gain the perspective of how truly giant the first three crashes of the century were. Printing money. The chart below shows that after each crash, the US government and the Federal Reserve Bank began printing money, saving the rich. Between between the year 2000 and 2016, in the name of saving the economy, the Bank of the World kept cutting interest rate and printing money, while our leaders want us to believe they were saving the world. In reality, the rich were saving themselves and threw the poor and middle-class class under the bus. Today, interest rates in many countries are below zero, which is why savers are losers. Today, the biggest losers are the poor and middle class, the people who work for money and save money. Reach that lesson. Your house is not an asset. 20 years ago, in 1997, every publisher who sent me a rejection slip criticized Rich Dad's lesson that your house is not an asset. 10 years later, in 2007, when subprime borrowers began to default on their subprime mortgage, the world's real estate bubble burst, and millions of homeowners found out the truth in that lesson the hard way. Their house was not an asset. The real problem most people do not know that the real estate crash was not really a real estate crash. Poor people do not crash the real estate crash. The rich crash the real estate crash. The rich created financially engineered product known as derivatives. Product Warren Buffett has called weapon of the mass financial destruction. When the financial weapon of the mass destruction started to explode, the real estate market crashed and poor subprime borrowers were blamed. In 2007, there were an estimated $700 trillion in financial derivatives. Today, it is estimated there are $1.2 quadrillion in financial derivatives. In other words, the real problem has gotten bigger, not better. Rich Dad lesson: why the rich pay less in taxes. 20 years ago, a few published cities criticized Rich Dad Poor Dad for disclosing how and why the rich pays less in taxes. Once started that lesson was illegal. 10 years later, in 2007, President Barack Obama was running for re-election against former government Mitt Romney. When it was disclosed that President Obama paid approximately 30% of his income in tax and Governor Romney paid less than 13% in tax. Mitt Romney began the downhill slide that would cost him the election. Tax again were a focus point in the 2016 US presidential election. Rather than find out how people like Mitt Romney and President Donald Trump pay less than tax legally, the poor and middle class get angry. While President Trump promised to reduce tax of the poor and middle class, the reality is the rich will always pay less in tax. The reason the rich pay less in tax goes back to Rich Dad's lesson number 1. The rich don't work for money. As long as a person works for money, they will pay taxes. Even when presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was promising to raise the tax on the rich, she was promising to raise the tax on those with high income. People like doctors, actors, and lawyers, not the real rich. 20 years ago, although Rich Dad and Poor Dad was not immediate success, like the Beatles, S.T.T. Pepper's album, Rich Dad Poor Dad did make the New York Times bestseller list by the year 2000 and stayed on the list of near 7 years. Also in the year 2000, Orf Winfrey called it was a Orf for the entire hours, and as they say, the rest is history. Rich Dad Poor Dad has become the number one personal financial book in history, with sales of the Rich Dad series of book estimated at nearly 14 million copies worldwide. Post says really rich dad? Millions have asked, was there really a rich dad? To answer that question, you can listen to Rich Dad's son, Mike, when he was guest on the Rich Dad radio shows. You can listen to that program by going richardradio.com. Rich Dad Graduate School. Rich Dad Poor Dad was written as simply as possible so that almost everyone could understand my Rich Dad's lesson. For those who want to learn more, as part of the 20-year celebration, I wrote Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. What is financial education really? Why the rich are getting richer goes into greater, more specific detail in what Rich Dad really taught his son and me when it comes to money and investing. Why the rich are getting richer is Rich Dad Poor Dad for graduate student. It's graduate student for Rich Dad students. A warning and an invitation. While I did my best to keep why the rich are getting richer as simple as possible, what the rich really do is not easy or easy to explain. What the rich really do requires real finance education. Financial education not taught in our schools. I suggest reading Rich Dad Poor Dad first. Then if you want to learn more, why the rich are getting richer may be for you. Thank you for 20 great years. To all our readers, past, present, and future, all of the Richard Company said, "Thank you for 20 great years." It is our mission to elevate the financial well-being of humanity and the stars with one life and one person at a time.